Mr. President, Representative posed which question?
You spoke rhetorically. We posed the question to ourselves. I assume the working group that had been working on Medicaid starting January 11th, 2011. That was the date you gave me on Friday, the first time we came together as a working group under the administration. You posed the question. We found ourselves with these groups of facts, and we chose to take this path. To paraphrase your presentation, the final point. Who are we?
Mr. President, Representative Redfern, you'll remember that on January 10, 2011, when Governor Kasich took office, I'm sorry. Yeah, you remember that. Mr. President, that was also the first day I came into this current position. I came into that position knowing that we were under a federal mandate to extend Medicaid coverage. And on that day, Medicaid was growing 8.9%. And we understood that if it grew at that rate, we would not be able to responsibly extend coverage. So we immediately put our focus on Medicaid reform. And through the first budget bill, which many here assisted to enact, we were able to get reforms in place that Director McCarthy was describing that brought the rate of growth down to 3.3%. Subsequent to that,
who are we in that first meeting in January 11, 2011? I appreciate the encouraging remarks about the reform process and the progress. Absolutely. I'd like to know who is included so we can go down this path of asking some questions, ask ourselves from a controlling board standpoint why we are here. And these are questions that I'll be asking.
President Cole.
To not belabor the point.
Thank you for clarifying, Representative Director.
President Cole, Representative Redfern. I was attempting to make a distinction that at that earliest date, we were under a mandate to expand coverage, and we considered it all hands on deck to reform the program. So, for example, the Office of Health Transformation was created to bring together the multiple separate agencies that involve Medicaid. So it involved the directors of those different agencies and all of our senior staff working together to build out that proposal. What changed then was the Supreme Court decision in August the next year, where we went from being under a federal mandate to extend Medicaid coverage to technically still a federal mandate. That is still in the federal law. What changed was the federal government's ability to enforce that law on a state that chose not to extend coverage. So it effectively made extending coverage optional. That was a different sort of decision, where then we had to assess where we were at the time. Because we were growing the program at below 3% and believe we can move into a sustainable position, that's where we, and when I say we, I mean the administration, collectively, made the decision to proceed.
2 weeks ago and 4 weeks ago was very body, the Department of Medicaid came to us with an appropriation request of additional dollars. And I asked specifically if this was a build-up for this particular vote, and whether or not these were scaling questions. I was assured, at least by the representative, that in fact was not the case. I did inquire to the controlling board president whether or not the legislature was going to take this issue up to the finance committee, perhaps to the health committee, rather than controlling it. Because there were some of us who thought maybe in and around the legislative process was occurring, right or wrong, legal or not, constitutionally protected or not, but in fact gathering up as much information as possible. At that January meeting in 2011, was the lieutenant governor in that meeting? And if she was, did she voice her exception to the notion that we as a state, a policy, should embrace the expansion of Medicaid to 138% of the population? If she's the director of insurance, we're not here today.
Representative, were there two questions in that?
You can separate them, President.
Okay. You counted 5, Representative Reagan?
You can count 30.
That's fine.
Mr. Mr.
I
President,
just wanted to help direct the witness.
Mr. President, Representative Glenn, perhaps I'll pick the question to answer.
Well, we can start with the January 11th. Who are we?
The team was entirely in place in January. We had all our directors on board. The lieutenant governor had been elected along with the governor. We frequently meet in a group where everybody has an opportunity to share their opinions. As an administration, we move together in a unified manner. For example, in those other categories I mentioned, because we had both the governor and the lieutenant governor had concerns about the insurance market reforms, as an insurance commissioner, it was natural that she led out on those issues, and also as it related to the exchange, because the Department of Insurance had formal authority as it related to the federal government. On the other areas, Medicaid, extending Medicaid coverage and health care delivery system reform, those were more directly under the formal authority of the Medicaid director in the Office of Health Transformation. So we took the lead on those.